has a basket. He's in the street, this snake charmer. And he has a basket with a snake in it. And he has a flute. This is truth. He's playing this, and that snake is coming up like that. Look. And going back again. He was doing everything with a way that he was keeping time to the way that... and people were throwing him in. You know. Borneo, my mother, the lot of us, she'd say, when I'd run in the door when I was young fella, she'd say, he's like the wild man from Borneo. And I always said, by Jesus, I'll be in Borneo someday. And I was in Borneo. And I'll tell you a funny thing that happened to me in Borneo.
No, didn't stop.
Would you see all these stories? I went to, I don't know what ship I was on. I think I was in some old tanker. I know that the Athelstan was the last tanker I was on. But this tanker, I was on this tanker and I went in and I went to, they had an American hospital. Funny thing about it, they're talking about these things. They had an American hospital in Borneo. And I went in there. And when I was coming off the American hospital, there was a cage where they had monkeys. And I got a rope and I got one of the monkeys. And this is true. I took the monkey back to the ship. And I let the monkey go in the ship. And where did the monkey go? You couldn't believe it. To the highest point in the ship, which was the telegraph pole, the wireless. And the captain came out and he said, I'll be a son of a bitch, he said, I can't throw the animal overboard. He said, it's against maritime law. But if I catch the son of a bitch that brought that monkey aboard, he's going over. This is true story. But another time that I was in Spain, I tell you, women are funny animals. So I went to the hospital. I was always pulling some stunts. But I went to a hospital in Almeria, that's Spain, and there was a nurse there, and I was trying to make out with the nurse, but she was ordered to give me a shot, a spinal. Did she make me jump? She cut my caper like that. You know what I mean? I'll tell you, she gave, oh, but you know something, we're going away, you see, we've gone away from the drift. Then I told you I graduated to the burner, so then I had to go, I had to go and I took a liner, one of the big Australian, 2,000 tourist passengers and 1,000 first-class passengers.
Wow.
You think of that for a one. Out of Tilbury down to Southampton, loaded them up in Southampton, heading for Australia. On out through the North Sea, through the Mediterranean, Port Said on one side, Port Susan another. We had to stop because the law of the sea is mail boats go first. So all the mail boats, they had to go through the canal first, or the Suez Canal. We're next. Now we have a ship that said, the draft of our ship, it was 29 foot. I mean by the draft, that's the depth. The draft is the depth. The draft of the Suez Canal is 30 feet. We had only a foot. It was off of the bottom. So, you know, you got orders to go. There was one place I got scared of often going through, and I went through there quite a few times. It's very dead, no air much. You know what I mean? You have a job to breathe.
Yeah.
You have very little air. It's very hard in the lungs. So we go through the Arabian Ocean, Then you know what I mean? I was 7 years at this camp, 6 or 7 years at the Seaman. We had markers. We had what was known as the 12 Apostles. There was 12 rocks that we knew when we'd be passing each one. Peter, Andrew, James and John. We knew them before we got to Aden. Aden was, we'd pass Aden, and then we went on and our first stop in Australia was Fremantle. The first time I went there, I told you in my first session here that I had an aunt nun, and that she was in the convent of St. John of God in Perth, Western Australia. Perth, but Fremantle was in Perth. So I made it my business, whether I cared whether I missed the ship or not, I was going to see my aunt. Do you understand me? I was going to see my aunt. Because, so I got friendly with a cartman. He was the ship's barber. He was a ship's barber. He was a very nice fellow. So he'd drink whiskey like he could drink water. So I was able to drink heavy at the time too. So we got to Fremantle. So I asked how far was the St. John of God coming. They said it was maybe 10 or 20 miles away. So we went to the convent, knocked at the door, and a big tall nun came up to the door. I'm after drinking a few drinks now.
And it wasn't water.
You know what I mean?
No.
So, and I asked, that Mother Alphonsus here. I said, yeah. Who wants to see her? Opened the big mouth immediately. Her nephew. Jesus. Kind of a bad approach, She says, what do you mean? She says, what do you mean? She says, I didn't know that Mother Alphonsus had any nephews. Did you have an uncle, Tim? Yes, I did. Was he an attorney in this? Yes, this nun says, when I was looking for money, she says, I met him. So, after a few minutes, they brought the two of us in and sat us down inside in a room. We were waiting for about 10 or 15 minutes. Nobody come with us. Jesus, what's going on here? There must be a big conference going on here, we don't know. So all of a sudden, this small little nun came out. She was small now, I don't know. My aunt Kate was small. She came out. She had this tall nun with her. She said, you read this, son? Yeah, I am. She said, is the stream still there at the back of the house? I said, yeah, but it's covered up now. She said, did they hang it? What? She's probing me now, you see. They didn't trust me.
All right, but they wanted to make sure it was you.
Do you understand me?
Yeah.
They wanted to make sure. And when they made sure, they brought out the wine and the whiskey and the beer. You never see they had more stuff than anybody to know that. You know what I mean? And the funny thing about it, I suppose the poor woman, she died with a shock because she died about a month after that.
Your aunt?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I was told that after she died soon after this. I was the only one that she ever met.
Sorry about this.
Oh, go ahead, thank you, Robbie.
So that was part of it. That was part of the life.
Your life on the high seas.
It was. I was down in South America. I lived down there. I lived down South America. I used to get off of the ships. Do you understand me? As I had nothing to lose. I was a man that had nothing to lose. I didn't care. I had no future. The time I was up in the Casbah, the time I was up in the Casbah, this fellow said to me, this fellow was called him Smokey, he said to me, Irish, he said, let's go and join the French Foreign Legion. They had a big office up in Algiers. I remember being there in Algiers one night on a New Year's night, and you never heard the likes of the bells and the whistles and everything that was going on, all Arabs. Yeah. But to me, life, I had nothing to lose. I had no future. I had no notion of ever getting married. I didn't want to get married. Anybody wanted to ask me to settle down? No. I had all the women I wanted. I had everything I wanted. I had everything. There was not. I had everything. The seaman's life is a different life altogether. The merchant seaman. he's a different dog altogether than anything else, because he has nothing. He has nothing. All he has is he'll drink, and when he has every cent of his money spent, he'll go and get another ship and get out of it.